employees, and that this was people just ridiculing others for their, own, under their own devices. Like, why would they want to create more work for themselves? This runs deep. To get rid of the ticks, you got to get all the ticks, and you can't just shed one and think this is over.
Gene Marks, as a small business guy, and you're hearing this, and you know what's coming your way in terms of the responsibilities of following all these new healthcare rules, regulations, fees, et cetera, most of which will be controlled and implemented by the IRS. What do you feel, and how do you feel about that?
It's a terrifying thought, isn't it, Neil? I mean, you have the IRS right now that really can't even keep track of what its own employees are doing. Now they have to audit the 34 million people that are walking around that are uninsured right now, somewhere between 30 and 34 million. So if you're required to have health insurance next year and you don't do it, it's the IRS's responsibility to find out. They seem like an understaffed agency and a mismanaged agency to begin with. What's that all going to mean about hiring new auditors and increasing the budget? And just as a small business owner, it just seems like more chaos and bureaucracy.
Adam?
Well, I suggest that we not hyperventilate over what's going on in this, very real situation where people should be punished for wrongdoing if they committed wrongdoing, or be too terrified about the IRS. I mean, we have a very complex taxing system. People in the United States voluntarily pay their taxes and have done so for a couple hundred years. That's a good thing. We have to make the IRS better. We'll do that by criticizing it. But there's every reason to believe that these audits will lead to a better future with more people being insured.
Yeah, but not
That's
this
a good
person.
thing.
Adam, this is like putting me in charge of the Ponderosa buffet. Good luck getting at it. I mean, I just think
Neil, I think you'd be very thoughtful about the Ponderosa buffet, I assume,
Maybe.
and maybe you'd be a good person to be in charge of it.
Not really, buddy, not really.
If she oversaw this department, then clearly someone who was in a position of authority should go.
All right. That's all I think, Monica, you were saying. We're not the right person for this job.
Well, I think it's just diminishing the gravity of all of this. And I honestly am more offended by this than Adam, for sure. I mean, to me, this is people in power taking advantage of people who put their faith in those people. This is no worse than priests molesting little boys. Honestly, I don't think I'm being too dramatic. Again, it's just
Well, do you mean no better?
I
mean, it's certainly...
I think
there's a little extreme difference there. But I will ask this of my small business guy. Gene Marks, it's this. At the very least, do you think that we should go slow on giving the IRS any added responsibilities? And by definition, wouldn't that delay the rollout of the healthcare law itself? Should we risk that to get this right?
Well, I mean, Neil, look, the biggest issue that most small business owners I talk to have had with the Healthcare Reform Act is that it's being rolled out too fast. I mean, why not take a little bit of time and make sure we get the system right? Most of the IRS auditors that I deal with, and don't get me wrong, there are plenty of smart people in the IRS, but they're just trying to get their arms around the tax legislation. Now they're being asked to do a whole bunch of new requirements that's going to take some training and some education to do. And, if they don't know the right questions to ask, they don't know their jobs, it's going to come on the impact of us. And that's a big thing for a lot of business owners.
Go ahead, Adam.
And I would just say that that's what the regulatory process is for. I mean, that's exactly what we're doing. It's two-year-old legislation, and so we should take time enforcing the regulations and writing them well and getting public comment on them. That's all fine. I would just like to point out, Neil, that we are predisposed to not like the tax man. I mean, we don't like the meter maid either. Nobody does. So that's fine. We should criticize the IRS when they don't do a good job.
Criticize the IRS.
Nobody likes the people who come to us and say, hi, we're here to collect your taxes.
No, I mean, it depends if they're going to audit me right away. But I mean, here's my thing with this whole predicament, Monica, is that I think it will. We had laws put in place after Watergate to prevent this sort of thing, to use the IRS as a bully to go after enemies. And obviously, we've shifted from that. They found ways around that. So we've built up laws and systems in place with this healthcare law. And if anything is taught us with the IRS is that there are ways around a system where it can be abused. So do you want to risk giving the IRS the responsibility to lock and load on a system that itself is flawed?
I think it's taking it too far. I don't think we need to scrutinize all of this other legislation just because of what's happening in the IRS. I think we need to deal.
How about just keeping them out of healthcare?
Well, we need to deal with what's happening in the IRS. We need to deal with the corruption in the IRS. I think it's separate from the issue of the healthcare legislation. What offends me is the woman who was on top when all of this stuff is going down. Why is she not just put on the sidelines? Why isn't she in a rubber room? Why is she at the head of something that can create more chaos at this point?
All right, we'll see.
Neil, I can speak to you.
Go ahead, real quick.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in and just say, there's two pieces of mail that I dread every year. It's my son's report card and my health insurance premium. You never know what that's going to be. And the whole health insurance industry
right now. My son's report card comes with my health insurance premium, so it's safe.
Yeah, in my case, you need it as well. But just the whole healthcare insurance industry is relying on these 30 to 34 more people that are going to be in the market, 30 to 34 million more people. If not, with all the coverages, who's going to pay the benefit of those extra premiums? A lot of business owners are really concerned about that, and we're letting the IRS be the guys that are going to have to go out there and audit these people. With their track record, it's very much of an issue.
Adam, final word.
So far, there's no evidence that there was any political interference in this, that we haven't seen that. And so I would say the Watergate reforms are working so far. We're firing these
I think there was political interference. We don't know if it extended to
just
the administration.
Just by virtue of who was targeted shows you there was political interference. I mean,
no, it shows you the biases.
There.
It shows you the alleged biases of the people who allegedly did the scrutiny, right? But that doesn't tell you that there was political interference from on high.
You and I might. You're right. It doesn't necessarily mean it's coming in the administration. Potato. All right, when we come back, relax, we've got it covered. When the White House says it can handle this investigation on its own, get worried and fast.
Meet the Elevate Bike. Its patented frame features a one-of-a-kind design that puts both of your feet flat on the ground when starting and stopping. The design uses a revolutionary technology to make the best comfort bike design on the market today. The Elevate Bike is just right for riding on pavement or hard-packed trails and offers a great way to stay active and in shape. To learn more about Elevate Bikes, visit elevatebikes.com.
On December 17th, 1903, the Wright brothers became the first in flight.
I think the most amazing thing is how like us these chimpanzees are.
Can you hear me? And you hear your voice?
Touchdown confirmed. We're safe on Mars.
My mother made the best toffee in the world. It's delicious. So now we've turned her toffee into a business. My goal was to take an idea